Oi girls and boys and everything in between, it's Ace Trainer Liam back with another episode of Form Fight. Form Fight is a series where we take a look at a Pokemon with more than one form or a branched evolution or counterpart Pokemon. We have a look at the differences between the Pokemon in question and try and work out which one is the best. And so we can see these Pokemon in action on the battlefield. We also have a Metronome Battle between the Pokemon that we're talking about just for a little bit of fun. If you're a fan of the Form Fight series and you're ready for more, make sure you hit the like button to show your appreciation for the series, and if you're new to the channel, hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. With all that out the way, let's take a look at today's challenges. Today we're going to be looking at the two forms of Greninja, which are Greninja and Ash-Greninja. Now when Greninja's sitting comfortably in its Pokeball, it will always be in its normal form. However, if a Greninja with the Battle Bond ability knocks out an opponent during a battle, it will transform into Ash-Greninja. But what makes these two forms of Greninja so different? Let's take a look. According to the Pokedex, both forms of Greninja stand at 1.5 meters tall and they both weigh 40 kilograms. They share a Pokedex entry which reads, "It creates throwing stars out of compressed water. When it spins them and throws them at high speed, these stars can split metal in two. It appears and vanishes with a ninja's grace. It toys with its enemies using swift movements, while slicing them with throwing stars of sharpest water." Appearance-wise, both these Pokemon look of course like just humanoid blue frogs with skin designed to look like the attire of a ninja. With Ash-Greninja having slightly different facial features to give it more of a similarity to Ash Ketchum, the trainer it's supposed to be fused with, as well as a huge water shuriken on its back. In their shiny forms, both forms of Greninja simply switch up their blue skin for a sleek black coat of paint. Now let's look at the typing, weaknesses and resistances of these Pokemon forms. This section will be pretty quick since both Greninja and Ash-Greninja are both dual type water and dark type Pokemon, making them both weak to fighting, bug, grass, electric and fairy type attacks. Both these Pokemon resist ghost, steel, fire, water, ice and dark type moves, and both Pokemon are immune to psychic type attacks. Now let's look at the stats and abilities of these Greninja forms. Greninja itself is very much a glass cannon with fantastic speed and great attack and special attack. However, its HP, defense and special defense are of course rather lackluster, hence glass cannon. Its primary ability can be Torrent, which powers up water type moves when its HP is below a third of maximum, and we've talked about these kinds of abilities in Form Fight before. They can be handy under the right circumstances, but an ability like Torrent isn't something you'd feasibly want to build your competitive Greninja around. There are special Greninja that can have the primary ability Battle Bond, which allows Greninja to transform into Ash-Greninja if it knocks out an opposing Pokemon during a battle, and we'll look at that in a moment. Greninja's hidden ability is Protean, which changes Greninja's type to match the type of move it's about to use. This is a fantastic ability since it guarantees any damaging move used by Greninja will have a same type attack bonus. It also allows you to use status moves strategically to switch up Greninja's type to avoid taking too much damage. As for Ash-Greninja, its HP, defense and special defense are exactly the same as regular Greninja, but it does get a decent boost to both its attack and special attack as well as a little bit of a speed buff. This of course makes Ash-Greninja that little bit more menacing in terms of actual damage able to be dealt, although it is still just as fragile as its regular counterpart. Because Ash-Greninja is a form that is activated via an ability and not by an item, unfortunately for Ash-Greninja, it doesn't actually get an ability of its own. Its ability is Battle Bond, which of course to a Greninja that has already transformed into Ash-Greninja is completely useless. So Ash-Greninja is kind of one of those Pokemon that technically doesn't really have an ability of its own, which is a shame because this is a fantastic Pokemon and it's kind of unfortunate that it actually can't have an ability to take advantage of. Although, as you can imagine, if this Pokemon had Protean, for example, it would be very, very broken in competitive play. Now it's time for me to decide which of these two forms of Greninja I prefer, and honestly, I prefer the proper one. I prefer regular Greninja because as a trainer, like, it's cool to have a bond with Greninja that makes it transform into a more powerful form, but then at the same time, it's like, it changes form to look like Ash Ketchum, and I'm not Ash Ketchum because I was 10, 19 years ago and I've actually aged, so it's pointless. Like, why would I want a Pokemon that has such a strong bond with me that it transforms into another Pokemon trainer that isn't me? It doesn't make sense to me, and it looks silly. Like, great, it's great stat-wise compared to the other Greninja, but regular Greninja gets Protean as well, which kind of counteracts, not massively, but it does kind of counteract the lack of attack and special attack compared to Ash-Greninja. I just prefer regular Greninja. If I had to choose one of the two, I'm not a big fan of either of them, to be honest. There are other Pokemon that are glass cannons that I prefer other than Greninja, but I would choose the regular Greninja. It just looks more like a proper Pokemon to me, whereas Ash-Greninja kind of looks like a clown, and not really into that. But of course, it's not just up to me, it's up to you guys to decide which is your favorite. But before you do, let's see these Pokemon in action. It's time for the Metronome Battle. Of course, before we begin, I will point out these Pokemon have max IVs in all stats, 0 EVs in all stats, they're not holding any held items, they have neutral natures, they've got the same type. The only advantage or disadvantage that either of these Pokemon gets comes from their base stats. Everything else is all up to the Metronome. Let's go. Here we go, it's Greninja versus Ash-Greninja, a form fight involving a regular Greninja and a Greninja that has a little bit of face paint to try and make it look like Ash Ketchum. What more could you want from your weekly form fight, ladies and gentlemen? As we see, the Ash-Greninja team are going to start things off, of course, because they are the faster of the two teams. Regular Ash-Greninja coming out with Sandstorm. Interesting play to start things off, so everyone's going to take Sandstorm damage each turn from this weather condition. What a great idea. You're already weak enough, guys. Come on. We see Roar of Time coming out from Shiny Ash-Greninja. My goodness, that's going to be so powerful. Doing massive damage to regular Greninja as Shiny Greninja comes to fire back with Psychic, which isn't going to affect the opponent, but is going to change Shiny Greninja to a Psychic type. Oh my goodness. Regular Greninja coming back with high horsepower, going to change itself to the ground type, which is going to protect it from the Sandstorm damage though, as it deals a decent amount of damage to regular Ash Greninja there. As you see, everyone's going to get buffeted here, but because regular Greninja is now a ground type, it won't feel that buffet from the Sandstorm. So that was an interesting play. Shiny Ash Greninja has to recharge as regular Ash Greninja comes in with the Recover. Brilliant play. It's going to restore its HP, so it's going to be almost at full HP at the start of this turn. That's a brilliant play. That was very well done. Here we see regular Greninja coming out with a Hydro Cannon, going to change itself back to the water type, so it will be buffeted by the Sandstorm this turn, but it's going to deal as much damage as it possibly can. It is resisted, but still brings Shiny Ash Greninja down to less than half HP there. That was fantastic. And here we see Shiny Greninja going with Supersonic, going to change itself to the normal type and then confuse its opponent. It's going to use it on regular Ash Greninja, who's now going to suffer and potentially hit itself in confusion if it's not careful. And here we see the buffer, and this time everyone's going to get buffeted by the Sandstorm, which is not looking good for regular Greninja, who is stuck in this battle on very low HP. Could really use a Moonlight or a Morning Sun or something like that. Here we see Fire Punch from Shiny Ash Greninja onto regular Greninja. Doesn't matter now, it's knocked out, so we're down to one regular Greninja versus two Ash Greninjas. One of those Ash Greninjas is confused though. It's going to shake off the confusion though. It's not worried about that. What's it going to use now? It's going to go for Flying Press. You have to believe that Flying Press would have been a knockout. It was lucky that Flying Press was avoided. Here we see Shiny Greninja changing itself to the Dragon type, going for Twister, dealing a little bit of chip damage to each of its opponents. Really wants to take care of that Shiny Ash Greninja if it can ASAP to really give itself a little bit more leeway in this battle, or if it could knock out the regular Ash Greninja, it would give itself an advantage in this battle. We see the regular Ash Greninja shake off the confusion once again, go for Confuse Ray, so it's going to confuse its opponent. Turnabout is indeed fair play. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Not for the regular Greninja team, of course. It's very, very bad for the regular Greninja team. Here we see Shiny Ash Greninja going for Ice Fang, which will be resisted. Oh, no, it won't, because of the type change, because it changed to a Dragon type, and now it's flinched and can't move. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Everyone's going to get buffeted by the Sandstorm. 3 HP on Shiny Greninja there. Oh my goodness. And here comes Shiny Ash Greninja going for Miracle Eye. That is very lucky for this. That's very, very lucky for this Shiny Greninja. Oh my goodness. The regular Ash Greninja is going to hit itself in confusion. Quite significant confusion damage there. Oh no, the moment of truth for the Shiny Greninja. Shakes off the confusion. Oh, this is getting really tense. What's it going to do? Goes for Razor Shell. Going to change itself to a water type. Oh, it's still going to take Sandstorm damage, though. What turn are we on? That was decent damage with that Razor Shell. And the Sandstorm subsides, meaning everybody's still in this battle. My goodness. And here comes Shiny Ash Greninja once again. Goes for Bullet Punch, though. It's all over. Even resisted. It's all over. Good night, Shiny Greninja. You tried your very best. Oh, my goodness. There we go. Ash Greninja is your winner. and unfortunately, we don't have the appropriate GIF or Pokédex screen for this Pokemon, which is a bit lame, but Ash-Greninja wins. So you've heard what I've got to say, you've seen these Pokemon on the battlefield, now it's time for your decision. Which do you prefer, Greninja or Ash-Greninja? Let me know in the comments below and explain to everybody why your pick is the absolute best. Of course, that'll wrap it up for another episode of Form Fight. Make sure you like and share the video to help out the channel, and of course, if you want to see more episodes, hit subscribe so you never miss one. If you'd like to see my videos before anybody else, like these guys down here do, you can pledge to my Patreon. The link you need is in the description, as well as the link to all my social media. But until next time, I'm Ace Trainer Liam. Keep on training.